Hello, my fellow fish fans. I'm doing this video a little bit vlog style today because I have some updates to do in my parents' tanks, and so I thought that I would bring you along kind of vlog style for this one. So I'm on my way there. It's super early in the morning. It's 6 a.m. I've been up since, honestly, I've been up since 4:45. I could not sleep last night. I'm heading over to my parents' house, and there's a couple of things that I need to do. The first thing that I need to do is I need to move the fish that was in quarantine from my saltwater quarantine tank into my mom's 55-gallon saltwater tank. I will link that video if you have not seen it. But the butterfly and the wrasse did not make it through quarantine, unfortunately. I have a pretty aggressive quarantine procedure. I use copper, I use metronidazole and praziquantel, and I will also be doing a freshwater dip with formalin once I get to their house, because I left my formalin there, which I'll get to in a second. So I have a pretty aggressive quarantine, which can be hard on kind of those sensitive fish like butterflies and wrasses, and I think the copper is probably what killed the wrasse. I did a lower dose of copper this time because I know wrasses are sensitive to copper, but I think next time I quarantine a wrasse, I'm going to just do it in the hyposalinity tank instead. And then the butterfly had a breakout of urinema and did not make it because urinema is very difficult to treat, and normally what you would do is a formalin dip, but I had left the formalin at my parents' house, and by the time I got a hold of it, it was too late to save the butterfly. So the diamond goby is going into my mom's tank. I'm heading over there to set that up for her. And then we also had a huge tragedy in the angelfish tank, which I will talk to you about when we get there. First, I have to go to Walmart because it's 6 in the morning and they are the only place that is open right now. I have to get some fish medication. Walmart's not well known for their good fish section, but what I do need is an antifungal medication, and I know that Walmart has one. So we're gonna pick that up. Hopefully the goby will be okay in here. Fortunately, it's 6 in the morning and it's actually raining today. Very weird because I live in Arizona. Fish section, where is it? Oh no. Do they not have it? Looks like they're all sold out, so I'll have to go to another Walmart. Dang it. My Walmart has fish, by the way. Did you guys know that? I know some people don't have them at theirs, but let's take a quick glance. Let's have a conversation about that in a minute. And I want to have a conversation about that in a minute, too. But they don't have what I need. It's like this jungle fungus. It's like a little fizzy thing. Okay, I will go pick it up at the other Walmart. Ding, ding. It's yelling at me. Put your seatbelt on. If you guys like these kind of vlog style videos, by the way, I don't do them often over here, but you can see what our family is up to every single day on our daily vlogging, which is our daily vlogging channel, which is Sudden Kimpact. It should be linked right there. Anyways, I don't like filming a lot in Walmart because since we daily vlog, I often do, and I've been yelled at for filming in there before, particularly in the fish section, because Walmart is notorious for having a horrible fish section. So I think I want to do a whole video dedicated to fish at Walmart, but just briefly, I want to mention two things that drive me nuts about the fact that this Walmart has fish. One, that puffer that I showed you where I said, we'll talk about this later. That is a green spotted puffer. Now, if you want a green spotted puffer, Walmart is a very cheap place to get one, so there's that. Probably will come to you sick. But a green spotted puffer, they sell it as a freshwater fish. It's not a freshwater fish. It's a euryhaline fish, which means that it needs brackish water. It starts out in freshwater, then moves to brackish water, which is a salinity of about 1.004 to 1.008, and then moves all the way up into full saltwater salinity as an adult. That fish, by the way, was how I got into saltwater in the first place. So my problem is that most people at Walmart are not going to know, like, they're not going to know. So I hate that they sell those as freshwater fish. The second thing, I also want to do a whole video about, you can check out my glofish video, which is surprisingly the most popular video on this channel. But there was a thing of glofish in there, and then there was some mixed fruit tetras. Mixed fruit tetras are the ones that are dyed, and it drives me nuts that Walmart sells them right next to glofish, because like whoever is going to see that and go, why would I buy these glofish when I can buy these mixed fruit tetras and they're like half the price, without knowing, because there's never anyone there to help someone, that those fish are dyed. They're not born that way. Glowfish are born that way. You watch my video about glowfish, but everywhere else has stopped selling those dyed fish. I don't see them anywhere except Walmart, and it drives me up the wall because it's such a cruel process, and like they don't even stay that color. Okay. Anyways, to the other Walmart, which doesn't carry fish, and will hopefully have the fish medicine. Take 2, second Walmart, let's see if they have it. There it is. No fish at this one, but they do have the fungus cure, or fungus clear, that's what I'm looking for. Actually, they might have had it at the other store and I just didn't see it, because that's not what I remember the packaging looking like. But either way, back to the house, let's go get some fish healthy. All right, I made it here with the meds. I'm gonna start by floating the saltwater fish. Let's turn on this light. I'm gonna start by floating the saltwater fish in the saltwater tank, and while that guy is assimilating, we're gonna do temperature assimilation, and then I'll drip assimilate him in a little bit. While that guy is assimilating, this tank has a really bad bacterial bloom, which I'll talk about in a minute. While that guy's assimilating, I'm gonna update you on tragedy in the angelfish tanks. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and insert an update, or my last update on the angelfish tank. If you can't see, it's looking pretty sad. So quick story time, and then if you tuned in for the saltwater fish, that will also be coming. It's just assimilating right now, and I need to take care of what's going on in this tank first. So this is my dad's 65-gallon, or maybe 60-gallon, I don't actually know. I think it's a 65-gallon angelfish tank that we inherited from my sister-in-law when she had to move to an apartment. And it used to house 5 angels in it, 2 breeding pairs, a breeding pair of platinums and a breeding pair of just like basic, the striped basic angels. And I think at the last update we had added some cardinal tetras, and I was having problems with diatom algae, which I am still having problems with, and I'll talk about that. I was also having some problems with black hair algae, and that problem has been resolved, so there's at least a little bit of good news in this tank. So here is what happened in here. I noticed that the one angel that wasn't part of either breeding pair had a little bit of ick on it. So I went ahead and treated the whole tank with heidi'd, which is what I typically use in my quarantine system. I will link my quarantine video right here as well, my freshwater one. But I treated the whole tank with heidi'd, which is a combination of formalin and malachite green. If you can't get heidi'd, Ic-X are the same ingredients, and it's a really good med. I really like it a lot. I treated them, and the ick started to disappear. Things were looking a lot better. I thought things were on the up and up, and everything was looking good. But we decided to add more cardinal tetras, and since there were already meds in the tank, and this is where we went wrong, you guys, don't do this. But we decided to just add them without quarantining them, because we were like, oh, there's already meds in the tank, it'll be just like a quarantine, which was a dumb decision, because I wasn't running all of the meds, and I should have just quarantined them. But anyways, that was our thought process. So we added those. We've also added some Vallisneria, and we added a mystery snail, which is roaming around here somewhere. So to try and deal with a little bit of the algae a little bit. After adding those cardinals, that same day, my breeding pair of platinums bred right along this filter and spawned. And if you guys have ever had angelfish that are spawning, they get pretty aggressive, and so they started beating up on the other 3 angels, which is pretty common, but they've always been fine. They've been in this tank for a few years now and been okay. But of course those angels had just recovered from ick. And then that night, one of the angels died, the one that wasn't part of the breeding pair, and I was like, dang it. So I came over here from my house, because this is obviously at my parents' house, and I decided to go ahead and drop some more meds into the tank and treat it like I would if I had done actual quarantine, which I typically will do Riddick, and then I do General Cure, which is a combination of malachite green, it's a combination of praziquantel and metronidazole for flukes and internal parasites. So I was like, okay, we're gonna just deal with everything that's going on with this tank. But that same, like 24 hours later, all but one of the angels was dead. Actually, I think it was maybe a couple of days later. All but one of the angels was dead, and a few of the tetras had died. And so I was like, what is going on? I don't know. And so I waited out the meds, and I was like, okay, I think it's probably a secondary bacterial infection from the ick. You know, obviously if the angel is picking on the other angels, that would create bacterial infections. It's possible that the new tetras brought in a bacterial infection. So I waited until, I waited a couple of days to finish that round of meds, and then I did a big water change to clear all of the meds out, and I decided to treat with an antibiotic. I know that a really popular antibiotic is erythromycin. I don't use erythromycin just because I have an allergy to it. I typically use tetracycline, which I will link down below. But I couldn't get a hold of tetracycline, and so I decided to treat it with Canaplex because I had been wanting to try Canaplex. It's an antibiotic. So I treated the whole tank with Canaplex, and the Canaplex has been in the tank for a while, but still I have cardinals that are dying, and I don't know if he still has it. Let's take a look. No, not anymore, but this angel had like a white lump on him, like on his body. So it wasn't like lymphocytes, because lymphocytes are usually on the fins. It was on his actual body, and I don't know what that is. So I'm kind of at a loss at this point of what to do with the tank. We've finished the round of antibiotics. I'm going to do another big water change to get all the antibiotics out of the tank, and then I just picked up the fungal cure stuff because the only thing that I can think of that I haven't treated for is fungal infections. So that's what we're gonna try. I don't know. All right, just tested. Nitrates aren't looking terrible. My hand is shaking a lot though. Nitrates aren't looking terrible. I'm still gonna do a decent water change on the tank just to make sure the water is super duper clean. And I found another dead cardinal tetra up against the filter. I asked on a group support page, which I will try to remember to link down below, the Facebook aquarium group support. And I haven't gotten much in the way of answers. Someone said they thought it might be lymphocytes, but lymphocytes are usually on the fins. And someone else said that they thought maybe it was just some random disease that the cardinal tetras brought in because they're wild caught. And at this point, they're like, just keep the water clean. So water's looking decent, but I'm going to go ahead and do a really big water change again. Hopefully that'll help some with the algae and keep the light low. And then I'm also going to turn the heater off entirely on the tank. They said, because the temperature is quite high in this tank. We live in Arizona, so our house, or this house, is very hot. So I will turn the heater off entirely, but I suspect that it will still be above 78 in this tank, even with the heater off. Because higher temperatures for angels tend to make them more aggressive. All right, so this guy has been drip assimilating. About half of this is his old tank water from quarantine, and half of this is from the tank. So before I add him, I am going to do a freshwater dip with some formalins. Let's do that real quick. Okay, if you've never done a freshwater dip before, it's so easy. I have this Tupperware container. It's labeled formalin, so I don't use it with anything else, and so we don't eat out of it or anything. And I literally just used tap water. You want to use tap water because it's going to be closer to your pH, and you don't want to send them into pH shock. Some people will use RODI water and add like a buffer, but I just used tap water. And then I just did a couple of drips of prime to dechlorinate it. And then I'm going to add some formalin just for extra measure. So this will treat for flukes, and formalin can also help with things like brook and urinema as well. So I don't really measure it for this one because I'm just trying to make the water turn a little bit blue. And then this is, I should say, this is for saltwater. We're doing a freshwater dip on my mom's saltwater goby before we add it. And then I used to do freshwater dips for just like 3 minutes, but the guy at my local fish store was like, no, you can leave them in there for even up to 10 minutes, which used to scare me. But I've had a lot healthier fish since I started doing that. Also, make sure that your temperature matches, and I'm not going to close this because I do want some air in there, but I'm going to put this lid on. And then also, some people will add an air stone, which is honestly probably best practices, but I am not. So put him in there. I'm going to have this lid just kind of set on top so he doesn't jump out because he's a goby, and we'll set a timer for 10 minutes. At first, they kind of will panic a lot of times when you add them, and they'll like lay down on their side. You just want to watch them and make sure that they're still doing okay with the dip. So we'll check up on him and just make sure he's still doing okay. But he's moving around and seems to be swimming just fine. I know it's scary, but it's for their health. It's for the benefit. If you don't quarantine, which you should, if you learned nothing from this video, it's that you should quarantine, even if you're running meds in your tank. In the very least, do a freshwater dip. Even if you're not going to run formalin, which I recommend doing, in the very least, do a freshwater dip. It costs you nothing. All right, little buddy is all done, and it's time to add him to the tank. There he is on top of all that dirty sand. That's for you. Clean that up, please. Okay, so I did a big water change on this tank, and then I added some of these fizzies. You just kind of pop them in. This is my first time using them on this big of a tank, and after I added them, I read that I should have dissolved them first, but they're dissolving pretty quick, so I think it'll be okay. Water will be green for a couple days, but I'll be back here tomorrow so I can kind of check up on how they're doing. And then over here in my mom's tank, we'll have a little bit of a chit chat about it. So the water is really foggy and the light is out right now. I'm going to leave it out because we just added that goby and I don't want to stress it out. But we're having a little bit of a problem with foggy water in this tank. The skimmer wasn't running for a little bit. That is a Marine Land skimmer, is that right, Mom? I think it's a Marine Land skimmer. I'll link it down below, but don't go buy it because we've had so much trouble with this skimmer not doing its job. It is inexpensive, but it's very finicky. So my mom has been sugar dosing in this tank to help keep the nitrates down. She just started doing it. It is working. These nitrates are at 0, but it is having a bacterial bloom. So now that the nitrates are at 0 and the skimmer is working again, we're going to reduce the amount of sugar that we're dosing and see what it looks like next week. It's not bad for the fish, it just doesn't look very pretty, and we'd like to get it a little bit more clear. Okay, the goby is hiding, but I will give you guys an update on him soon. I hope that you guys liked this style video. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more kind of these vlog style videos, oh, my hands are shaking so bad. If you would like to see more of these kind of vlog style videos, you can check us out over on Sudden Kimpact. Sometimes I post fish stuff, but it's just whatever we're doing for the day. And thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.